Right, so today I wanted to talk about something that I don't get really enough time to talk about on this channel, and that's Transformers. Something I've got a massive passion for. I really like that universe, that mythos, and I don't get the opportunity to talk about it because the films suck for the most part. There hasn't been a series to actually talk about apart from the Netflix stuff. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Transformers: War for Cybertron Kingdom, which doesn't actually take place on Cybertron. I've got no idea why it's called Kingdom. It should either be called Jungle Volcano. It should be called Beast Wars 2 or Beast Wars Revival, because that's what it is. That the characters in this are the characters from Beast Wars meeting the Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Prowl, Ironhide that you've been going on this War for Cybertron adventure with for the last two miniseries through Siege and Earthrise. But yeah, this is the one that's got me the most confused, because I don't know if I like it yet. I don't know if I like what was presented. I enjoyed parts of this show, and the reason why I talked about Siege, I didn't talk about Earthrise, because there's not really much to talk about with Earthrise. I couldn't justify myself making a video about Earthrise, so I might as well just talk about it a little bit here. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Siege. I still think Siege is my favourite of the three, but Earthrise was okay. I didn't get Scorponok. I mean, Scorponok in Earthrise is done way better than Scorponok is done in Kingdom, because in Kingdom he's just a clone. But I didn't get Earthrise like I got Siege. There's a lot of problems with these Netflix shows, with the Netflix Transformers shows. I hope in the next one, whatever the next one is, because obviously we're gonna be going on to the big fight with Unicron next, or at some point, because they do build up a lot of Unicron. We do see Unicron for the first time in Kingdom, and Galvatron's a big part of this. Nemesis Prime is kind of a part of this. He's in the final episode. He fights Optimus, but there's no build up to him. He's just kind of mentioned by Optimus Primal, and then he shows up at the end to fight Optimus Prime. And there's no real build up to Nemesis Prime. If he was more of a character throughout the show, then we would kind of get that he's this big threat, and we would actually be scared when he shows up. Galvatron, on the other hand, we see a lot of him, but also he's not established as much of a threat. And this is the biggest problem with Galvatron as a character, because this is both heavily inspired by IDW mythology, and it's inspired by the Marvel G1 1980s Transformers, where Galvatron is a future version of Megatron. In the IDW verse, that's not the case. Galvatron is just a guy that got stuck in the Dead Universe. The Dead Universe is still a thing, but also Galvatron being a future version of Megatron that's enslaved by Unicron is also still a thing. It's kind of merged the two universes together, and I don't know if I like that. It's a little too much, and the fact that there are 3 different versions of Megatron in this show and 2 different versions of Optimus Prime, well, one of them being Optimus Primal, and Optimus Primal does get a lot of play, but Beast Wars Megatron is shit. I will just say that now. The characterization of Beast Wars Megatron in this show fucking sucks. It's an absolute destruction of that character. Because I thought when I did watch Beast Wars, I didn't watch too much of it, but Megatron was one of my favourite parts of that, as he is one of my favourite parts of every Transformers thing, because he was menacing, he was conniving, he felt like Megatron, and he transformed into a T-Rex. So what's not to like? And how do you fuck that up? You make him a snivelling, like, you make him like main universe Megatron's bitch, essentially. You're basically like, and the voice acting is all wrong. Like, it should have been the same voice actor for for Megatron in both variations, and even the show goes ahead and says it's confusing having two characters called Megatron, and the main Megatron is like, if you really value me and you actually worship me as much as possible, and if you respect me as much as you claim to, change your name. Don't you having my name is sacrilege to the name of Megatron, essentially, is what he says. But they never call Beast Wars Megatron anything other than Megatron, which is annoying. One of the things I did like was Dinobot. I really liked his characterization. He's different to Beast Wars Dinobot, and it's hard to see where this fits into the timeline, because Dinobot here is a much more morally ambiguous character, and I think his characterization is better in this than it actually was in Beast Wars, or at least in what I saw of Beast Wars. I think because he actually is a character. He's not just Starscream that switches sides, but still is kind of, still wants to lead the Autobots, but then becomes a really good like Maximal by the end of that show. Here he's like, I don't know where I fit, and Airazor shows him that, you know, he can just go it on his own, you know. But his journey to that stage is a lot more than just, oh, I'm going to fight Optimus Primal and I'm going to take command of his people. No, he just becomes like a nomad. He becomes like this guy who doesn't have a cause, and then he eventually dies, and his death actually feels right because he dies protecting the matrix of leadership for Optimus Prime, which makes sense and works, and it feels right for the character. It feels right for how the character is portrayed in this. My biggest issue with this show is how it treats the Beast Wars characters, because the only character I think it gets right is Rhinox, and even then he doesn't get much screen time. He's on the arc most of the time. Every other character is fucked over beyond belief, apart from Dinobot. But like I said, Dinobot isn't accurate to Beast Wars. He's just a better characterization in this for me, in my opinion. If you're a massive Beast Wars fan, you would probably be fucked over by this. You would be pissed off by the characterization of these characters that you love. Like, Rat Trap does nothing. Cheetor does nothing. Tigatron does nothing. Airazor, I can't remember a lot of her from Beast Wars, but she's actually a character in this. That's fine. You know, you did a lot with Airazor, you did a lot with Dinobot. Megatron is an absolute abhorrence to what he was. I know there was one that turned into a pterodactyl that reminded me a lot of Starscream as well, but I can't remember his name, and he's not in this. Scorponok, again, terrible. Tarantulas is gone. Black Arachnia is okay. She has a lot of screen time with Starscream, and I really like this version of Starscream. So, you know, their kind of banter and camaraderie works, and the fact that Starscream is the one who figures it all out, and no one fucking believes him because it's Starscream. I love that. I love the ending of this show. I love how it does basically say, right, Unicron's coming, and everyone is like, yep, the war's over, Unicron's coming, let's rebuild. I don't like that Elita 1's dead. I don't like that all of the Autobots that stayed on Cybertron are just now dead. I can't remember if they died in Earthrise, or if... Because what I remember is they had some scenes in Earthrise and then just went away. And this basically shows, right, they died, which sucks. And Chromia died, and basically all of the characters on Cybertron died. Like, what the fuck? That's a massive, that's a massive middle finger to the character development and the growth of Jetfire. That's a massive, middle finger to Chromia, who got nothing. That's a massive middle finger to Elita 1, who, you know, they never really were able to develop the relationship between Elita 1 and Optimus Prime. And it's not an emotional moment seeing them die. It's an emotional moment seeing Bumblebee go into the tower of the Allspark, you know, put it in, get all these Transformer ghosts to come back, and Elita 1 finally has that final conversation with Optimus Prime. You know, that's okay, I guess. I liked that. I liked the Ark. I liked revealing that the Ark had a robot mode that it found while in the Dead Universe. That was fun. And I like that for me was the most hype badass moment of any of these Transformers Netflix shows. Really, really enjoyed that moment where the Ark just transforms and grabs Megatron's ship. That, outstanding. I think that if they do Unicron, that could be the best out of that could be the best Transformers Netflix thing. That could be great. Following from where this ends off into the next one, if Megatron and Starscream and all that, the Decepticons stay as, you know, if peace remains on Cybertron and it's just Optimus Prime, Megatron teaming up to fight Unicron, I think that's probably that's a slam dunk, I think. But this just has too many problems, too many confusing things. I think throwing in Beast Wars characters just to be like, oh look, we got the Beast Wars things, they're cool, aren't they? And then getting none of those characters right, or not really having enough time or spending enough time with those characters to really make it work. I mean, they are still in the show, and they will still continue to be in the show if they do or in these like mini shows going forward. I don't get why these are 3 separate shows. I don't get why they have Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom. I know it's because of toys, but I don't get why these are 3 separate shows and they're treated as 3 separate shows on Netflix. It's confusing, it's annoying, and it makes looking for them almost next to impossible. I know that it will show up because you've watched the last 2. This one shows up as well. You know, I don't get why it's not just season 1, 2, and 3. They're only 6 episodes each. You can do that. You know, imagine if a show like The Walking Dead, its first season was a different show to its second season. It was like The Walking Dead, then The Walking Dead Revival, and Walking Dead Revival is treated as a different show, and you have to actually search in something completely different to find it, but it's still canonically a sequel or a season 2 of that show. It's annoying, it doesn't work. I feel like if they're going forward, just have Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom 2, or, you know, it's probably gonna be called something like Transformers War for Cybertron Unicron Rising, or Unicron, or, you know, or Edge of Extinction, something like that. What are some things going forward that I would want to see? Combiners. You haven't seen a combiner yet. I would like to see a combiner. I would like to see if they did Combiner Wars in this style. If Combiner Wars was after Unicron, if Combiner Wars was before Unicron, if we still have, because we kind of have the setup for that. It's only Windblade that we don't have. Where the fuck is Windblade? This is supposed to be so IDW inspired. You know, use the character that fans created, you know, specifically for IDW. That doesn't make sense to me, why Windblade is nowhere to be seen in this. I'd like to see the Dinobots show up at some point. Maybe Pretenders, maybe Minicons. Unicron is the big thing, but Unicron's already in it. I want to see more aspects of the Transformers universe, and obviously Hot Rod. I'd like to see Hot Rod show up. Hot Rod has a figure in the Kingdom line. Why is Hot Rod not in this? Hot Rod is literally the character that will bring people in, you know, and he's the success for Optimus Prime, because if Optimus Prime ends up dying, which it looks like he might, you know, having Rodimus there set up as a character works. Do it. I don't know if this is the last one though, because like it is called War for Cybertron Trilogy. It's not called War for Cybertron Blank. It's called War for Cybertron Trilogy. But the thing is, it should have. If that's the case, end it. End it properly. Don't just go right. Unicron's still out there. He's coming for Cybertron. You know, just end it properly. Have it be like, there's no more sides. There's no more war. It's over. You know, that's the end of the show. Unicron is not a threat. You know, just end it that way. Don't end it with, hey, we're going to tease Unicron in a show that's never going to happen. I hope that there's, you know, I hope that there's enough people who are screaming for a continuation for this series, because there's so many corners of the Transformers universe that haven't been tapped, and this is better than the films. This is much better than the films. If they can change the voice actors for some of the characters, if they can, you know, clean up the animation, if they can clean up the show, you know, season 4 or whatever the next show is called, could be amazing. As it stands right now, this is enjoyable. If you like Transformers as a casual fan, you'll like these 3 shows. You'll like Siege, you'll like Earthrise, you'll like Kingdom. It's definitely a lot more, like, lore heavy than I think a lot of people would expect from a Transformers show, especially if you haven't read the IDW stuff. I think not a lot of people expect there to be, like, spark ghosts, or it's very lore-centric. If you don't know the lore of Transformers, you might get into this and find that as an interesting part of the story, or you might find it all confusing and might go over your head. I don't know. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to start trying to get more content onto the YouTube channel over the next few days, over this next month. I had a few days off because it was my birthday and I wanted to spend a few days with my family and stuff like that, but I'm going to get back into making content. Suicide Squad 2 is out. I will watch that and I'll review it. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. We also have War for Wakanda coming out at the middle of the month, so I'll be definitely doing content on that. Join me over on Twitch for my charity streams. I'll have a video talking all about that, probably at the end of my War Table reaction, because that's going to be the day before the content actually comes out. So I'm going to do the War Table reaction, talk about the charity thing that I've got planned, and then we'll play through the stuff. So that's going to be on the 16th. So that's still a while away. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.